So far in this video, we've talked about flowing forward with our flowcharts. And at this point, I want to recognize that that was when we were moving left to right and evaluating an expression. The rest of the video is going to focus on solving for the variable in an algebraic equation. So to solve for an unknown variable, we're going to backtrack with the flowchart. This means you will work right to left, and you're going to record your work below the flowchart. This means that you will use the inverse operations on the action arrows. So if we start with an expression here of x times 2 resulting in 2x plus 4 gives us 2x plus 4. And let's say that I want to know the value of x when 2x plus 4 equals, let's say 18. So that means that my equation now is going to equal 18. So my flowchart now looks as 2x plus 4 is equal to 18. And I'm going to use the inverse operation to backtrack on those action arrows. So the opposite of plus 4 is subtract 4. And then I think to myself, okay, what is 18 subtract 4? The result of that should be 14. Action arrow, instead of multiplication, I need to divide, working right to left to get back to my unknown value for x. 14 divided by 2, x is going to equal 7. So if I take a moment now to use the flowchart method, the funnel or the traditional method, I should get the same result. I'm going to use the opposite operations, and I'm going to kind of work backwards in the sense of order of operations. So the first thing I will need to do is to subtract 4. And 18 subtract 4 is 14. 4 minus 4 is 0, so I can cross that out. It won't affect my equation anymore. 2x equals 14. I want to divide by 2 so that I end up knowing what 1x equals. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So if I bring my flowchart down just a little bit, and maybe shrink it as well, we can see that there are times when our expression in our flowchart and in our equations are going to look very similar. So this is going to get a little bit confusing with the sense of how many colors I might add on to this image, but hopefully it'll help you to understand. So we started with 2x plus 4 is 18, and 2x plus 4 is 18. So that's the same thing. Our action arrow then was subtract 4, backtracking, and so you'll notice that this subtract 4 is also found down here in this subtract 4. So my next bubble is 2x is equal to 14, and in this part of my equation 2x is equal to 14. I'm then left with division based on my flowchart. I can also see I have division by 2 on the next step of my funnel, and I'm left with x equals 7, and here I'm left with x equals 7. So every step in our traditional method will actually mirror what we've been practicing in the flowchart with backtracking. So now looking at the first expression we focused on earlier, 4x plus 3, we want to change this to an equation, which means it'll have a equal sign, and 4x plus 3 is going to equal 27. I can use backtracking by first building the flowchart, which I have in front of us, and now I'm going to start at the right hand side below my last bubble and make 4x plus 3 equal to 27. I'm going to undo by subtracting 3. 27 subtract 3 is 24, and I'm going to undo the multiplication by 4 and divide by 4. 24 divided by 4 gives me 6. So 4x plus 3 equals 27. Subtract 3 from both sides. Erase that. All right, back to business. Subtract 3 from both sides, 24. That has zeroed out 4x. So 4x divided by 4, 24 divided by 4, and we are left with x equals 6, both using the traditional method and backtracking on our flowchart. Let's try to solve for x when negative 3x subtract 5 equals negative 35. So negative 35 is going to go below my my last bubble. So negative 35. The opposite of subtraction will be to add 5. So negative 35 plus 5. Think back to your integer rules. We have unlike signs, so we're going to subtract. 35 subtract 5. My result will be 30, and then I have to remember that the 35 is the larger absolute value, so my answer remains negative. So negative 3x is equal to 30 right now. To undo multiplication by negative 3, I'm going to divide by negative 3. Negative 30 divided by negative 3, x is going to be a positive answer, a positive 10. And this last expression is going to change into the equation. 2 times the quantity, w plus 3, is equal to 30. So 30 goes below my last bubble. I'm going to undo multiplication by 2 by dividing by 2. It's important to notice that we're dividing first because of the way that our order of operations is set up with the parenthesis in our expression. So 30 divided by 2 is going to give us 15. Backtrack, subtract 3. 15 subtract 3 is equal to 12. So I hope this video has been helpful to you, hopefully jogged your memory a little bit about using flowcharts when we discussed algebraic expressions and a little bit with equations during quarter 3 last year as a member of 6th grade math. If you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask. You know where I can be found.